Maria Alvarez had prepared herself for another lonely Christmas, the kind she had known for years, quiet, cold, and filled with a silence that echoed through every corner of her tiny apartment like a reminder of everything she didn't have, everything she didn't dare hope for. She was the maid in the grand Williams mansion, a place of chandeliers, marble floors, and holiday decorations that looked like they belonged in a magazine. But none of it was hers, none of it felt like home. And after finishing her shift late that evening, polishing silverware, arranging ribbon on the Billionaire's Christmas wreaths, and making sure every fireplace in the 14-bedroom house crackled with warmth, she trudged home through the snow with the same worn coat she had been wearing for 5 winters, dragging her steps up the narrow staircase of her old apartment building where the hallway smelled faintly of damp plaster and forgotten dreams. She unlocked her door, stepped inside the dim room that served as her living space, kitchen, and bedroom all at once, and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Maria," to herself as if maybe hearing it aloud would make it feel real, but the loneliness settled on her shoulders like a heavy blanket, reminding her that this year, like every year, she had no family nearby, no children, no partner, no one to share a meal or laughter with, only the memories of her mother humming carols in their tiny village when Maria was a child, memories she clung to like lifelines. Memories that kept her gentle even when the world was not. She heated a small bowl of soup, lit the one candle she had, and wrapped herself in a thin blanket as she looked out the cracked window at the glow of Christmas lights shining from other people's homes, imagining families gathered around tables, children opening presents, lovers exchanging gifts, and she told herself it was fine, that she was used to being alone, that she didn't expect anything magical to happen, but deep down, she felt a tiny ache, a whisper of a wish that maybe, just once, someone would knock on her door and say she mattered. She didn't know that miles away in the grand mansion, her billionaire employer, Daniel Williams, stood staring at the empty dining table set for 10, feeling the weight of his own silence pressing on him. For years Daniel had lived among success, business triumphs, luxury gifts, international travel, yet the holidays were always the same, a grand house with no laughter. A feast meant for guests who never came because he had pushed everyone away with his obsession for work, a life full of things but empty of meaning. And as he thought about the people who truly made his life run, one face came to mind, Maria, the maid who worked silently, diligently, humbly, never complaining, never asking for anything, always arriving early, never taking sick days, always putting others first even when she had so little herself. And he realized he didn't know where she spent her Christmas, what her life looked like outside the mansion, or whether she had someone waiting for her. Something tugged at his heart, something unfamiliar, something almost human, and before he could talk himself out of it, he told his driver he wouldn't need the car, grabbed a beautifully arranged Christmas gift basket from the pantry, and stepped into the cold night, letting the snow crunch beneath his polished shoes as he followed the address Maria had once written on her employment file. Maria, still sitting in silence, nearly jumped when she heard the knock, a firm, confident knock that didn't belong to any neighbor. Her heart raced as she walked to the door, wondering if something had gone wrong at the mansion, wondering if she had done something wrong. But when she opened it, her breath stopped. There stood Daniel Williams himself, the serious, impeccably dressed billionaire whose face she normally saw only in brief, respectful glances, but tonight his expression held something softer, something that almost looked like concern, and in his arms was a large Christmas basket wrapped in shimmering plastic with red and green ribbons, filled with gourmet treats she had never even dared taste. And for a moment she didn't speak because her mind couldn't make sense of the scene. Her boss, on her doorstep, holding gifts, standing outside her crumbling apartment like he belonged there. "Maria," he said gently, a tone she had never heard from him before, "I realized that you've spent every Christmas alone since you started working for me, and that's not right. No one should spend Christmas alone." Maria blinked rapidly, feeling her face flush with embarrassment as she instinctively tried to hide the peeling paint on the walls behind her, the broken kitchen chair, the fact that her entire home could fit inside one guest bathroom at the mansion. "Sir, why are you here?" she whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. Daniel took a breath, looked around at the cold hallway, then back at her with eyes that held genuine emotion. "Because I should have noticed sooner," he said. "Because you've taken care of my home every single day, and I never once thought about who takes care of you. Because it's Christmas, Maria, and you deserve better than this empty room and a bowl of soup." Maria had never felt so exposed, so vulnerable. She wanted to smile, wanted to cry, wanted to shut the door and hide, wanted to invite him inside, everything at once, and finally she stepped aside awkwardly and said, "It's small, but you can come in if you want." Daniel entered slowly, his eyes scanning the room, taking in the bare shelves, the faint sound of wind slipping through the window cracks, the single candle flickering on the table, and something in him shifted, something deep and surprising. He set the basket on her table and removed his coat, draping it over a chair that wobbled slightly under the weight. "Maria," he said softly, "no one working this hard should live like this. You've given so much of your life to others, don't you think it's time someone gave something back to you?" She swallowed, the truth of his words sinking into her chest like warmth spreading after a cold night. "Sir, life has been hard," she admitted. "But I'm grateful for my job. It's more than I had before. And Christmas, well, I stopped expecting anything special a long time ago." Daniel shook his head slowly. "That ends tonight." He opened the basket, placing items gently on the table, fresh bread, wine, chocolates, imported cheese, things she had never bought for herself because even thinking about them felt like a luxury. "This is your Christmas dinner," he said. "If you'll allow me, I'd like to share it with you." Maria couldn't stop the tear that escaped the corner of her eye, and Daniel noticed, stepping closer without touching her, respecting the invisible line between employer and employee but letting his presence fill the cold silence. For hours, they talked, really talked, for the first time since she began working for him. She told him about her childhood, her mother's songs, her dream of studying nursing before life became too heavy. He told her about his lonely mansion, his regrets, the pressure of success, and the emptiness that money couldn't fix. They laughed quietly, shared stories over warm food, and the clock ticked softly as midnight approached, each passing minute wrapping them in a strange, unexpected warmth. For the first time in years, Maria felt seen. For the first time ever, Daniel felt understood. When the candle finally burned low, Maria whispered, "This is the best Christmas I've had since my mother passed." Daniel looked at her, his voice thick with emotion. "Maria, this is the first Christmas I've ever had that felt real." The snow outside fell gently, blanketing the world in white, and for a moment neither of them cared about status, wealth, or the barriers that usually separated their lives. All they felt was gratitude, connection, and something new, something fragile and hopeful, growing quietly between them. As Daniel stood to leave, Maria followed him to the door, her heart fuller than it had been in years. "Thank you," she whispered, "for remembering me." Daniel paused, his hand on the doorknob, and turned back with a soft smile. "Maria, after tonight, I don't think I could ever forget you." When the door closed behind him, Maria pressed her hand over her heart, overwhelmed, replaying every moment in her mind, realizing that sometimes Christmas miracles don't come wrapped in shiny paper, they come in the form of someone who finally sees you. And as she blew out the candle, the warmth remained inside her, glowing with promise, reminding her that maybe, just maybe, this Christmas was the beginning of something beautiful. And to my dear viewers, if you felt even a spark of warmth from this story, make sure to subscribe, because there are many more emotional, powerful stories waiting just for you.